It's easy if I can tell the whole story in one go. So, just to recap, so 1910 the theatre was constructed, so it's 113 years old. It's had 4 names in its history. It's originally the King's Theatre, so every time we do anything on the theatre, it actually is known as, by Heritage Council, everything, it's known as the King's, it's known as Mercury Theatre, formerly the King's Theatre. It's on every bit of documentation. There's actually, it's yet to be discussed even at board level, but by the property trust who owns the board who owns the property, anyway. Yeah, it's a long day, been going in meetings at 7:30 this morning, but there is strong encouragement from Heritage to probably eventually restore it back to its original name.
We now have a king, so it makes sense.
It's their preference, yeah. So it's all, just hold that lightly. So it's been known as the King's Theatre, the Prince Edward Theatre, the Playhouse, and then the Mercury Theatre was around 58, 60, somewhere in that era. In 1960, when the Mercury Theatre Company had the theatre, a lot of alterations were done to the theatre. Before, and it wasn't a heritage building by then. So it only became a heritage building in the 90s, I think. You can jump on our website, we've got all the historic information is there. And so essentially what we're doing now, we, Equippers Property Trust, Equippers Church, has owned this theatre since 1994. We shut it down in April last year for a number of reasons. So we have to earthquake strengthen the building. We've been given our earthquake strengthening notice. And if you know, I don't know how much you know about how that process works, but we wanted to renovate the bathrooms because the bathrooms are pretty terrible. But we can't renovate the bathrooms until we do the earthquake strengthening. So the moment you go to building resource consent, it triggers the seismic work. You have to do the earthquake strengthening before you can renovate the bathrooms. So that's how we got to where we are. So we started off a journey going, how much is it to earthquake strengthen? And then we're like, how much does it cost then to do the earthquake and the bathrooms? And initially we're floating 6 mil, 8 mil, 10 mil, and then eventually the whole project literally comes in at 24 mil.
Oh my goodness.
Now we're a not-for-profit charity. We have managed to rally together so far over $4 million is where we're up to right now. It's how much we've spent since April last year. And we have a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes to keep rallying the next 20. Hence our timeline. So we can actually speed up the project, it's just subject to having the money. So we've worked really hard. We've gone through 3 fire engineers to get to one who finally understands how to make a heritage building work with current building code. So we've gone through all that whole process to get to where we are. So I've got stories for days. But what happened was we shut down in April last year. We had to remove all the asbestos, of which we were safe to occupy, but we knew it was in the building. Turns out it was pretty much everywhere, hence all the natural brick you see is because all the plasters had to be removed because it contained asbestos. Yeah, it is quite cool, and we have asked Heritage, but the answer is no, you have to put the plaster back on because when it opened in 1910 it had plaster walls. And so this building is, just so you can appreciate our complexities, we are a New Zealand heritage, so think of heritage running out of Wellington in that case. We're a category 2 building. We are heritage listed inside and outside. And then we're Auckland Council heritage, so they're actually 2 different bodies. And we are category A on Auckland Council, so we're a higher status with council. And we have to work with New Zealand Heritage, who we actually have a great relationship with, Auckland Council Heritage, who give us a few more hoops to jump through, and also then Building Consent Council, part of building, and we have to get all 3 to agree. So sometimes we've had 2 out of 3 agree, and then we've had to go back and forwards a bit, hence the structure under the balcony. So this was many iterations by structural engineers and before we could get at a design that even Heritage would sign off on. So we had to put this bracing in. It literally holds one wall, the side walls together, and strengthens the balcony in the sense of an earthquake. But the design and how it works and the future of how it will function had to go through several iterations before we could get one that got signed off. And that's the most expensive option, of course.
The engineering always goes there.
Yeah. So it's a massive project. So we've had to put extra footings in under this, and again, because the building's over 100 years old, we had to get archaeology reports and surveying done just so we could put extra footings in. It's been quite a big project. So we're up to now, and I'll walk you around the theatre just for the sake of time. We are almost at the end of earthquake strengthening, and we just have a bit of a crack at our facade, which is pretty obvious. We're just waiting on that to now be repaired, and then we can finish the earthquake strengthening, which is essentially the last bit is to attach the facade to the rest of the building structure. There's about a week's worth of work left on that. And then we hit our 70% MBS, our building standards, so that's great for us and the bank. Then they see it as an asset, which is great to help us keep the project moving along. We have a consent in with council to, and I'll take you upstairs in a minute, to remove what we call the upper theatre. That's the smaller theatre that was built in the 60s, so that's up there, and that's, we'll take you up there. And that all gets demolished, and the original balcony, which the tiers are actually underneath it still, our goal is to restore the theatre back as close as possible within building code requirements to the 1910 version of the theatre. And so that'll enable us to have an 800 seat venue, and the floor, you're actually standing on the original 1910 floor now, which we've removed all the tiered seating. The plan is to restore this floor, so all the holes will get properly plugged up and the finish will be redone. And we'll have seats designed that have longer legs at the front, and you'll be able to have seats here. And then for certain concerts and shows, all the seats can be removed and they get stored down in a whole new storage system underneath the stage. There's a whole basement under the theatre. And this becomes standing on the floor in the stalls, and it has a capacity for 1,000 people.
Dancing on a sloping
You've
floor.
got to have a dance floor.
Yeah.
Not too many drinks though.
I love it, yeah.
Just for the
It's
sake of
laughing,
time,
it's sloping.
That's right.
It's a massive undertaking.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It is.
Thank
with
goodness there's
heritage, so,
organisations doing it.
You start doing one thing and then it leads through. I mean, we're just going through that now. Upper level. You start looking under the hood.
Yeah.
And then you can't go back.
Once you start.
So it was silent movies. So it was all black and white silent movies. There was a big projection box. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was right up the back. And the building is built to the shape of the land. Because if this was a proper theatrical theatre, this would all be sort of squared off properly. And you'd have side wings. There's actually no real effective side wings in this theatre. So it's been shoehorned in the past to run music productions, like musicals, but it was never constructed for that intent or purpose. Yeah. So in the future there'll be all like the motors hang off there. Most things nowadays are all LED sets, and so it all gets flown and done. There's 2 steel floors that have gone in. One of them is essential for earthquake strengthening. So that was, as soon as that was a non-negotiable part of the design for this theatre, that meant we had to change the way we thought about it. And so effectively there's 2 floors of which constructed. Up there at the top of it, you can see the windows that have been created somewhere in history, and our vision long term is to get them all back open and sort of double. The green room will let me up the stairs there to change the dressing as well. More commercial lighting. and we're a heritage building, and that was a bit of a no. So we've actually lobbied enough because of CRL's project. You actually can't see what's on the roof
I was like, you
anymore.
won't be able to see it. Yeah, I was just thinking, but nobody will see it because I was just thinking that. It's brilliant.
So because we've taken enough photos of CRL's construction going higher and higher every few months, we've been able to get our case one and over the far side of the roof over here, which you still won't even see, maybe from the top of the George Court apartment to look down. But we've been able to now get approval for a plant deck and put all our heating cooling units on that, which is a win for the operations of the theatre. So it takes it all out of this first floor and now enables us to run, have basically the more change room, dressing rooms and storage and stuff. So eventually there's like stairs and lift and all that gets put in at the back.
Come out the back road here?
The lane. Yeah, it will eventually, yeah. That's ground level. Yeah. And then under here, which I won't take you out, there's like a whole basement studio. So space under here. Yeah. So just keep moving for time. Where you see these walls, this is all part of the earthquake strengthening. This product's called Marpe, and essentially it looks like concrete render, but they describe it more being as like carbon fibre. So in an earthquake, it actually holds all the bricks together. So none of the bricks fall loose, none of the bricks can come out.
Rigid too, like, so I've got a bracing element.
Yeah, and it's a bracing element. And so this actually runs right through, and there's different walls in the theatre that have all been done with this Marpe product.
Oh, cool.
So if we'd done the earthquake strengthening probably 10 years ago, that would have all had to be steel brace. There'd be a lot more intrusive steel. You'd see steel beams and columns running all through, destroying all the heritage elements. But now, because of the technology's changed so much, we have this product now through the theatre, and you can paint it, and you never know it's there. And it's
Cool.
Yeah, it removes all the intrusive steel bracing. Marpe. M-A-P-A-I.
It's the name of the company.
It might be,
We use some of their other silicon and it's like it's a product that's the company name.
Right.
You can grab a container on the way out.
Marpe bracing, I'll call it.
So for the Auckland transport engineering side of things, that's the loading dock. So the laneway, the trucks that you back up the opposite lane, they all have tail lifts nowadays. They lower all the road cases down and everything gets ramped in through the doors there. So that's how you load the trucks in and out.
That's pretty narrow laneway, isn't it?
It's very amazing. The size of trucks is good. Yeah. Yeah, you just can't get trucks to turn around in these bit of lanes, so they have to stop.
So the car parking for the units in the rear, is that all gone now? Some of the residential units? They're also used.
You don't mean like 9C Mercury Lane there anymore? They're demolished?
They're all demolished.
They're all
Yeah,
gone.
they're
That's
gone.
the other half of us.
Oh, that's right. So
have
that,
this one.
Yeah,
the
all
rail
gone.
link is there. That's part of the station. Oh, yeah,
So
okay.
we'll go this way and we'll go upstairs.
You don't wander up the lane very often, you know.
No,
Really a
there's
lane
no
now.
need, right?
No. Yeah, exactly.
It used to be, with the needle exchanges, apparently you can. It's a very recent.
I never saw them, how they used to, they kind of mix it all up, it's like a mesh goes on first, like a mesh.
A number of times. For about a year. It could have worked.
Yeah, no, ours is the,
Do you guys need a?
Watch your head.
Yeah.
it's actually looking really good.
Thank you.
Whole lane.
No, very useful.
Very helpful.
Just got a board we're missing, so just want you to stand.
Very short.
Put it out. Pass it on.
So when all the plaster came off, we discovered obviously some doors and windows that we didn't even know about. And it's somewhere in situ. So believe it or not, that concrete block there would have been done in the 60s. It doesn't look
Looks brand new.
that old, yeah, but it actually was sealed up somewhere in the 60s or 80s. We've actually removed all the 1960 tiers in this bit, and just again, a little bit inside the project, we've had to go through demolition consents to get them removed to get back to the original 1910 tiers that we're standing on. So you can go onto the website of the Facebook, Instagram of the theatre, and it'll show you how what happened is shows photos where the team literally had to photograph, document every floorboard. They had to lift all the floorboards up. They were stored in the dome room in there. There's still a bit of original timber stored in there. Then what they did is, you can see parts of it. They would then put in additional bracing, so additional noggins and battens. Then they would put solid ply down, and forms another form of bracing under the balcony. And then they'd put the original 1910 timber back, all in its original place.
Whoa.
So the whole balcony that we're on here has actually all been lifted, reinforced, earthquake strengthened, and the original 1910 timber put back. There's a few bits missing where the boards were too gone to be reinstated. And Heritage come and do inspections and document it and sign off. So we have regular council inspections on the project.
Do you know what type of wood it is?
I could find out for you.
Yeah,
See, I
it's
don't know
like
if that's
pale.
Similar to the
tongue
bench.
and root.
It's quite pale. It looks like Cody's to me.
Looks like Cody's.
Remove
Quite
darker.
refined as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Cody, yeah. I think you're right.
But your upstands are different.
So this is all the same as the floor.
Yeah.
The upstands look like they've had shellac or something.
Yeah,
on
they
them.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
stain.
It'll be
Council-
Cody by the
council,
colour of it. Ours is Jarrah.
So there will be a ballast,
Like
like
a-
a rail eventually on the top. So obviously,
But not originally there wasn't?
Nah, this is everything you see is as it is.
Easy to fall
We've
off.
actually never had an incident that anyone. We've had lots of deliberate people jump over the balcony, but no accident.
Yeah, no, like,
We've had a few beats in there to get pretty wild, but yeah. Oh, and we've seen funny game like people on inflatable rafts get floated up to the balcony, passed up. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's been lots of stories. Over its history, there's been people who have abseiled out of the roof down into the crowd. It's quite remarkable what's on. This is what you see here is the beginning of the up theatre, so I'll take you up there in a second. But I'll just maybe explain, you can wander in here, the dome room. So
Pay for our food.
yeah. The floor is beautiful.
Is this the bar?
it has, sort of. So a little bit more brain, a little bit more daylight. So we there is a roof over the top of this roof.
Was this the bathroom?
So the theatre was built in 1910, and in 1920 they decided to change the entrance. So the 1910 entrance was on Mercury Lane. 1920 they constructed this as we know it as the dome room. And the original, in the 1920 entrance is the Indian restaurant.
Yes, I was wondering what that is.
Someone told me that.
Poster. You noticed it? It might come up, but it's got frame, molding as part of the wall. And that's where you would have put your stickers of what was showing. The whole thing's like that. They might have covered up.
Can you get the engine whistle back?
I still mourn. Yeah, I still mourn.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll take you to. So it's hard to see in the slide now, but there's actually the plaster weaving on that side, which is the arch. And then arch is actually the ceiling that goes through to keep
And when I spoke to them, they were like, oh, yeah, we've actually got plans.
And you had the cheap seats, you went downstairs.
Oh,
You had a premium ticket, you came upstairs. And you would come upstairs into the dome room. And this was kind of like the lobby or the foyer
Oh,
for
yeah.
the premium seats for the balcony.
It's like the Civic, actually, isn't it? It's kind of similar.
And then unknowns to any of us, and we don't understand what happened somewhere in the 50s.
That time passes.
It gets sold off, and the entrance gets boarded up here,
Yeah.
and it becomes Norman Inn, and you can now see Norman Inn's name
Yeah,
on the
that's
outside.
right, yeah.
And that's because Norm passed away about a year and a half, 2 years ago, somewhere now. I think a year and a half or 2 years ago, Norm passed away. So when Norm immigrated to New Zealand, that was the very first building he ever purchased. So it holds a lot of significance to the family who owns it. Hence, they don't want to sell it to us,
Yeah.
although we have lobbied and we've met with them in person.
amazing,
And we've kind of said, hey, we really would. They are open at some point in the future talking about whether we could lease it.
Right,
Um,
cool. That'd be cool.
Which would be awesome for the longevity of the theatre. So we have tried, and we do want to try to buy it back. Like I said, it was sold in the 50s, so we don't know why. It would have been just sold off to someone who wanted cash. And but yeah, if you go through the Indian restaurant, you'll actually see the rest of this, and there's a bit of
it's beautiful.
you'll see
Like
some of the
that,
lid light in there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it all makes
Is that
sense.
heritage too?
Yeah, so
I always thought
that's all. That'll be heritage, and they're also an earthquake-prone building. So that's got. So the challenge for us too is we've got to get this sorted out before we even think about that. Because if we took that on now,
They don't have to sell, it's a hard
it
buy.
suddenly downgrades our rating again. Yeah.
Won't go anywhere in a hurry.
Well,
Will you do different lighting as well, like put back
Oh,
in
so
some more
this,
natural?
hence the footaries aren't going to stay.
Yeah.
So this room needs a lot of love, and probably nice to be here with the lighting's really bad. You saw it in the daylight. It's had, over the years, it's had water leaks and weather issues. So at some point, the whole room has to be replastered. The lighting, this lighting will come out. We've already had amazing. There's a little bit of a leak. You can't probably see it as well, but we're keen to get some, beautiful architectural lighting.
Is this something over it? This thing can't sit on top?
There's a roof.
Oh, there's another roof on top.
Yeah.
Was it always like that, or was that a fix?
I don't know. It would have been done in a more recent era.
Yeah.
The roof over that, yeah.
In the mirror? It's
There used to be like dance studios in here. So the mirrors are for dancers. and all those for the mirrors are staying. The mirrors are coming. And the room is still back, so it's all like grand. But this is literally 1920s style.
It's funny actually when I get the lighting. The lighting, even though it looks kind of like an industrial, is very similar to the lighting showing photographs of the art building when it was new. Because in the 20s it was like uber futuristic. And yeah, so our building was like super, on the inside was all quite modern, right? Yeah, very, like beautiful, what we would think of as 1920s lighting. It was actually very back. Yeah, on the side of lighting. Yeah.
It's the same tile.
You get good money for it.
Yeah, this is going to be a stunning room when it's restored. And we love the space and look forward to getting all the corners work redone and the floor all struck up. But at the moment, as I said, it's still very much we're a construction site. And our priorities have been to get it. Yeah.
I love going into churches overseas, particularly for things like that.
A lot of time looking up.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
at
I
the
was gonna
mosques.
Oh my goodness.
Have you been to the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah, that's incredible. And I've spent a lot of time over in the Central Stars.
Oh wow, that's never that far. Yeah.
And that is all just incredible. Like, the entire time my neck is just like running in the opposite direction.
I'm sorry, it's So the background to this space was built in the 1960s, and this is we kind of internally know it as what we call the Art Theatre. It used to seat about 120 theatre seats were in here. That's actually a really amazing space, but we, for the greater good of the theatre, it's getting removed. And the original tiers, we actually, believe it or not, all those, you know those tiers that were on just before downstairs, they actually are all underneath this. So most of the original timber is all there. This all just got literally constructed on top of it. And so we just got our demolition consent in about 2 weeks ago in council. It's quite a process. But anyway, this is all in progress to get signed off to be demolished. There's a lot of heritage paperwork you've got to go through.
It's just enclosed essentially. It's basically built this wall. And put
Yeah,
the
yeah, everything is false and fake. Yeah, essentially. But the press mill is
Are these
real.
all the original that you
The
looked
press mill's been hacked at by various owners as well. So, I mean, we've done a fair bit to fix and restore it as best as we can over time, but now it's, you know, it's due for a profit. So that is the original 1910. And then somewhere when they built this theatre, they put in what would have been, you know, like lighting bars, which all come out and be removed. So, and then for the benefit of the quarter part, people, is the whole veggies of windows start dark, and there'll also be a lot of
They must have better technology. Wicked.
And so, yeah.
Oh gosh, how old is this one? When did they do this?
1960s. So it's in the 60s it was built. Yeah.
Was it
And-
theatre or music? You think?
Yeah.
This was for theatre. Yeah, this was all built for, Auckland Theatre Company built it as a small theaterette because it meant they could run a small show in here and a main show in there. But of
Wow.
course, we're
That's
having owned the theatre.
amazing.
There's a lot of sound travels between
Wow.
the two spaces. And that's what they were doing. But they'd use this more as a rehearsal and do a lot of teaching, training, upskilling for shows that would eventually be in the main theatre.
I love the Lord and Lady vignettes inside.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah, and well, that's all ties in with the King's Theatre.
Yeah, it does.
So that was all correct to the original of the King's Theatre.
Any photos of colour schemes from back when it was?
They're all black and white, so it's hard
Yeah.
to try to know. The architects that we have working on the project, we're waiting on it, so we'll post it on our channels. They're going to release a video that shows kind of all the iterations of colour schemes we've been working through. There's been like 10 different colour options. The one that we are leaning into, but we've got to go through all the heritage sign-offs, is going back to more of a darker, moodier feel. So we did this whole VR experience recently. Initially, I was lobbying for, I like the Kevin's Arcade, right? When they redid that, you're like, oh, it just feels great. It's such a great. And I initially was like, oh, we should do the inside similar feel. It's all consistent. And they're like, yeah, and a few of the architects, we've also got friends who are architects as well. I'm like, yeah, but the problem with that is when you run lighting, the whole room lights up. And that's the problem we have now. So we have a lot of show photos in here, and the moment you do any show in here, everything lights up. The
catches
roof
the
lights
light.
up. And so then they've stepped us through 10 different iterations from really light to really dark. And we actually now lean, when you do the VR experience, it's crazy because you can have all the house lights up. You get to literally sit in the balcony, pick your seat you want to sit in, you sit in it, you see what the view's going to be like, and then they go into show mode. So then all the theatre lights go into one spotlight onto one person, and the atmosphere in a darker colour scheme is really moody, dramatic. It's quite it leans into shows and performances, and so we're opting more to like a charcoal colour with accents and bits and pieces with the classic theatre kind of deep red burgundy seats. Yeah. So you'll see some stuff come on social media soon about the colour, but we're still yet to get all the sign-offs, so that's why we haven't.
Mind me asking which architecture? Is it Salmon
Well, with
Reed?
Patterson's, so Patterson's have a, they've got a good reputation. Yeah. So when we pull together, if you go on the website, you'll be able to see, we call them our partners, really, but we pay them all. The money doesn't flow back. But they're what we call our partners on the project, and you'll see all the specialists involved, and every one of those has heritage expertise. And that's the only way we've been able to get this project moving forward. Because every time we've tried to engage someone who's not got the heritage expertise, it's just a waste of time. Everyone walks in and goes,
We've had a challenge just with the heritage expert architects, just getting, because their capacity, so busy. So we've got Salmon Reed doing some with Matthews on some stuff as well. But, the Patterson.
The other one is Dave Pearson, DPA. So he's actually represents, he's a heritage architect, but he has to represent not us, but heritage and council. Yeah. And so he's like, does all the peer commentary, peer reviews and peer sign-offs. Yeah, it's I think we didn't understand as owners how complicated the nature of the two categories of heritage status we've got. But we get there. So we'll move on down one more level. They're going straight
You don't have the expertise required along the way.
Yeah. So we just go down one level, then go straight and turn right. Sorry, we're not going down to the floor yet. Just go, and go right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you guys are taking it on.
Better about what we're having to do.
This has had lots of names, this space, but it's probably heritage-wise it's known as the Garrett Bar. And so there was a bar in here at one point in its history. It was actually constructed in. And in the future, believe it or not, from literally one side wall that you can see at that end of the building and the other side wall you see there, this is all bathrooms for the future. So to deal with the capacity of the increased seating, once we take out that smaller theatre, we have to put in a whole lot of new bathrooms, as well as the existing bathrooms we have downstairs. And so this whole floor becomes bathrooms. And the windows will be frosted, so just for your benefit. The windows stay. The windows will stay with natural lighting, and all the hand basins go over on this side. But the press metal is original, so it has to stay. And so, I'm going to get this up. Anyway, I'll stop there. Probably because of this ceiling, it actually meant we couldn't do smoke extraction on the fire system. So not allowed to remove this part, and then they couldn't. None of the engineers, doesn't matter how they set like that, it just couldn't figure out how to get that was big enough through and how to handle it. So now it's sprinklers. So we're just in the sign-up process of putting fire sprinklers through the whole building, which is less intrusive and less complicated than trying to put smoke extraction through all floor. So downstairs.
Downstairs.
And the donut.
And the dome room.
Oh,
Yes.
Question you may have around that. So it is owned by Cooper's Church. The vision is Monday to Saturday, it's a hire venue, and it always has been available for hire. And I was explaining to different people, under COVID, it was used massively by the film industry. So there was a lot of film shoots, a lot of TV series, were all filmed on the main stage. They literally come in, construct sets on the stage. To you, you wouldn't even know it was all filmed in the Mercury, but the theatre's been pretty active.
Wow.
And prior to that, before we shut it down, it was pretty active with bands at different times. And Live Nation were running shows in here as well. And then, so Monday, and so we actually, it's not our core business as a church or property trust, so there's another external business manages hire outs and looks after the venue hire side of things. It's not really our core business, so there's no point us jumping into that. And then Sundays the theatre quickly flips around for church, so the bars become coffee machines and all that stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of how we straddle both. Yeah, we do a lot of things for the community, we run a lot of training and a lot of those things, but we also recognise the theatre is pretty unique and pretty special environment for everybody. And also, there's a lot that goes into just the annual maintenance, so we need shows in here to pay for the upkeep.
That would be a very expensive church, I think. Are you running any active fundraising, like, having your name on a seat, or any of, like they do with, buy a brick and have your name on that kind of thing? Are you running anything like that?
We're about to run one where we need 1,000 people to buy 1,000 bricks for $1,000. That raises us $1 million, and we've got a $20 million project ahead of us. So there's that. Now, obviously ethics and integrity is a core thing for us, but one of the things was getting someone who's working with us to get us over the line and go, but they're kind of, even though, because there's no bricks, like the bricks are already there. I know, but it doesn't really matter, you just need to run this campaign, or like virtual bricks, I don't know, it took us a little bit to get our head around to go, but you're not really buying a brick. The bricks are there, but anyway.
Some places have it on seats, so.
And the bricks all get plastered over. But we might put your name on a brick and then plaster it over. And in 100 years' time, when someone else has to reno it,
with a seat, you can charge a lot more than $1,000. 10 grand for a seat.
Who does that? I've seen that at another venue.
I think every theatre has someone's name on the back of the seat somewhere.
A lot of arts venues, arts patrons, and
the
names are displayed somewhere, like a wall of thanks kind of thing, that kind of.
We've seen some really cool installations in theatres once they've reopened about like a little quick snapshot of the project, and then QR codes how to keep donating and acknowledging major supporters.
Cool.
So this is essentially. There's lots of other little rabbit warrens
Send me
and
a link
things,
when you've
but
got your campaign going. I'll circulate it in the video.
Follow it. Just follow it on Facebook and Instagram. It's a pretty active profile, and and we keep people updated as we go. But that's probably in a nutshell as much. And you're always welcome. Feel free to reach out to me, and you can always message through any of those pages. The messages eventually get back to me pretty quick.
What's your name?
Matt Gregory. So but if you I oversee the whole project, so comms get back to me pretty quick on it.
It's a massive gift to the community. Giving. It's amazing.
It's there's a whole lot more. I wish I could. We're in there's a whole project team who meet on, because a lot of those consultants have to be on Zoom every fortnight. Production meeting that we do, and so sometimes I take screenshots when we're putting out concept plans, and we haven't really posted that content yet to social media, but there's some really, when you see all the 3D modelling, and we get to experience in that and see all the renders, you're like, oh my goodness, it's going to be unbelievable when it's finished. If you're here in the daytime and you look at it and you kind of get a bit, some people get a bit terrified because there's so much work to do, which there is. You can kind of see the spaghetti wiring everywhere. It's all got to get ripped out at some point, because the moment we try to get the new fire system in, we're violating fire code everywhere, essentially. Anyone who knows anything kind of walks in and goes, it's the same.
I'm so sorry, this has been so amazing, but I've got a message for my customer to go
we need
home.
to go.
I'm getting the same.